Welcome back to the corner of the internet where common sense takes a vacation and sometimes never comes back. Today's video dives into a fresh batch of Darwin Award worthy brilliance, where people manage to remove themselves from the equation in ways so baffling you'd swear they were competing for points. We've got forklift fails, reptile regret, birds with attitude, and ideas so bad they probably started with the phrase, hold my drink. So buckle up, hit that like button, and remember, these stories are real and preventable. Let's jump into some of the most embarrassingly dumb ways people said goodbye to logic and everything else. Number 1. Meet Charles Stevens, an English barber with a dream. Not a dream to cut hair faster or invent the 2-in-1 shampoo. No, Charles wanted legacy. He wanted to become the first person to go over Niagara Falls in a barrel and live. Now, let's pause. Niagara Falls. It's not a cute waterfall in your backyard. It's a thunderous 165-foot drop with jagged rocks, rushing water, and zero chill. So Charles preps for his big stunt by doing the smart thing. He straps an anvil, yes, an actual 75-kilogram anvil, to his feet inside the barrel. You know, for stability. Because if there's one thing that makes plunging off a cliff in a wooden tube safer, it's extra weight. Fast forward, he launches, the barrel hits the water, and promptly explodes like a soda can under a monster truck. Spoiler, only the anvil and Charles's right arm were found. The rest was, well, returned to nature. And the best part? He didn't even get the Darwin Award until 1994. That's right. It took the committee over years to go, yep, that's Darwin-worthy. Number 2. Now, for the next story. A man in Zimbabwe was sick and tired of elephants trampling through his farmland. Totally understandable. I mean, they're basically armored tractors with tusks. But instead of, I don't know, building a fence or contacting wildlife services, this guy goes full Bond villain and decides the best defense is landmines. He starts planting explosives in his field like it's a DIY episode of Detonations and Daisies. Carrying 5 mines at once. Because, hey, efficiency matters. He trips one. Boom! Instant karma. The very device he was planting to stop nature removes him from the evolutionary gene pool. The elephants? Totally fine. Probably confused, but otherwise just vibing. If animals could laugh. Number 3. Okay, this one's a little darker, but important. A man trying to hide from authorities climbed into a sewage tank. Already a questionable choice. But when he passed out due to toxic gas, people tried to rescue him. The catch? They didn't use breathing masks. One by one, friends and neighbors climbed in. And one by one, they collapsed from the same fumes. By the end, more than 5 people had been overcome before trained rescuers with proper equipment arrived. This story teaches 2 things. Gas masks are not optional in a tank full of methane. If the person you're rescuing is hiding from police in sewage, maybe let nature run its course. Number 4. South. Picture this. A man in Soviet Russia wants to prove he has psychic powers. Not by bending spoons or guessing card numbers. No. That's amateur hour. He's going for the full-on superhero origin story. He walks out onto a railroad track and claims he can stop a moving freight train with the power of his mind. You heard that right. A freight train. With brainwaves. Spoiler alert, he could not. That train did what trains do. It stayed on schedule. And our aspiring Professor X, well, let's just say he no longer needed train tickets. It's unclear what he thought was going to happen. Maybe he expected applause, or at least a documentary deal, but what he got was physics. And physics, friends, does not care about your psychic potential. Number 5. And now, a heartbreaker with a serious nope factor. Somewhere in the frozen wilds of North America, a man decided to test a stick of dynamite, as you do. He lights it, Probably says something inspiring like, watch this, then drops it on a frozen lake. You know, just to see what happens. Enter. Man's best friend. His golden retriever, bless its loyal heart, sees the stick and does what any good dog would do. Retrieves it. Mid-sprint. Tail wagging. Totally proud of himself. The man is panicking, yelling, but the dog's like, I got the stick. You wanted the stick. Boom. Both were gone. This one hurts because the dog was just doing his job. The man? Not so much. It's a Darwin moment dressed in tragedy. We salute the golden retriever for his loyalty and question the owner's qualifications to light anything more complicated than a scented candle. Number 6. So this one features a guy named Wayne Roth, who clearly had a main character complex and a bit too much Animal Planet in his bloodstream. Picture it. Wayne's at his buddy's place, hanging out, when he notices a pet cobra in a tank. Now, most of us would be like, cool pet, keep the lid on. But Wayne, he decides it's rescue time. Why? Nobody knows. Maybe he thought the snake looked depressed. Maybe he wanted a TikTok moment before TikTok even existed. Anyway, he grabs the cobra with his bare hands because nothing says qualified handler like pure overconfidence. The cobra, being a cobra, reacts by doing exactly what cobras are built to do. It strikes. Now, instead of immediately going to the hospital like any rational human, Wayne laughs it off. He tells people he can handle it. Yep, just walk it off, right? Maybe drink some juice? Unfortunately, biology had other plans. He passed away hours later, proving once again that tough guy energy is no match for neurotoxic venom. Darwin wasn't there, but if he were, he'd probably just raise an eyebrow and slowly nod. Number 7. All right, raise your hand if you've ever been fishing and thought, this would be way easier if I just blew up the lake. No one? Cool. Because one guy didn't ask. Inspired, allegedly, by stories he'd read on the original DarwinAwards.com, which, ironic foreshadowing, really. This unnamed man decided to spice up his fishing trip with some homemade dynamite. Yes, instead of a rod and bait, he brings the boom. He lights the stick, casually tosses it into a pond, and waits for the fish to float up. What he didn't calculate? Terrain. That dynamite rolled back down the slope toward him like it was part of a bad cartoon gag. No time to run. The blast was, let's just say, career-ending. And the fish? Unbothered, possibly annoyed. Lesson here. If your fishing strategy sounds like something from a Looney Tunes episode, maybe just stick to worms and patience. Number 8. Next, let's talk about Michael. Michael owned a wood chipping company, which already dangerous. You're literally working with a machine whose entire job is to turn trees into mulch. It doesn't know the difference between a tree and a person who makes bad decisions. So, one day, the chipper jams. Instead of turning it off, the obvious move, Michael decides to climb up and clear it while it's running. Pause and reflect here. This is like trying to fix your blender while it's still on and thinking, I'll just be careful. Long story short, the chipper did not care for his repair skills. The machine unjammed and pulled Michael in. Tragically, fully. There was no pause, no rescue. It was brutal. It was fast, and it was preventable. And yet it makes this list because, again, safety 101 was skipped in favor of, I've done this before, it's fine. Spoiler, it wasn't. Number 9. Now this next guy, pure cinematic logic. A man walks into a gun store to rob it. A gun store, not a florist, not a bakery. A literal building where everyone inside is carrying, trained, and alert. But it gets better. Not only is he robbing the most armed place per square foot, there is an on-duty uniformed police officer standing in line. Just standing there. Like a bonus level the universe added. The guy pulls his weapon, announces the robbery, and boom! Suddenly, it's not going his way. The officer responds instantly, as do the store staff and at least one other armed customer. The whole thing ends in under 30 seconds. Moral of the story? If your robbery plan includes walk into place where everyone is packing heat and surprise them, you may want to reconsider your career path, or at least Google it first. Number 10. In the early 2000s, an ambitious pilot wanted to film some epic green screen footage of himself doing aerial stunts. We're talking real Top Gun stuff, barrel rolls, flips, dives, the kind of thing that makes people go, whoa, and also maybe, where's the FAA? He sets up cameras, jumps in the cockpit, and takes off. Except, in the excitement, he forgot a few key elements, like pre-flight checks, safety straps, parachutes, coordination with ground control. You know, the basics. Mid-maneuver, the plane stalls. Altitude drops fast. And tragically, the crash ends both the pilot's life and his unfinished cinematic masterpiece. The footage? Never completed. The plane? Scrapped. The moral? Don't let YouTube dreams override basic flight protocols. Because no amount of slow-mo footage is worth becoming part of a crash reel. Number 11. You know that moment in action movies when the hero hits the gas and sails over an opening drawbridge? Cue slow motion, epic music, a smirk from the driver? Yeah. Turns out that only works when you have Hollywood physics on your side. Our next brave, or rather wildly overconfident soul decided to reenact this exact move in real life. Drawbridge starts rising? That's not a road hazard, that's a launch ramp. He hits the gas, but apparently forgot a few key details. Timing, trajectory, and the part where gravity exists. Mid-air, things start to go sideways. Literally. The car doesn't make it, crashes hard, and our daredevil never gets the sequel. So next time your GPS says, route recalculating, just take the detour, not the cinematic leap. Number 12. If Florida had a state dinosaur, it'd be the cassowary. Imagine a 5-foot-tall bird with dagger claws, the speed of a sprinter, and the temperament of a caffeinated raccoon. Now, imagine owning one. A Florida man, because of course, decided to raise a cassowary on his property. According to reports, he loved the bird. The cassowary, not so much. One day, he fell in the enclosure. The bird saw its chance. And with a few well-placed kicks, game over. Fun fact, cassowaries are among the most dangerous birds on the planet. Even emus look at them and say, bro, chill. Moral of the story, if you need a helmet to feed your pet, it's not a pet. Number 13. Picture this. A group of passengers is traveling on a long-distance coach through the UK. Somewhere along the ride, one decides, now is a great time for a smoke. But instead of waiting for a stop, they crack open the emergency window and stick their head out for a quick puff. Nothing like fresh air, right? Except one minor problem. The coach is approaching a tunnel at speed with zero clearance. By the time anyone can shout, it's too late. The tunnel meets the passenger's head, and the rest is grim history. Morale of the story? Don't mix barstool bravado with moving vehicles and concrete structures, and maybe invest in some nicotine patches. Number 14. Now, this one feels like it came straight out of a badly written crime drama. A suspect is running from police. He spots a wildlife park. And instead of, surrendering, he makes the bold decision to climb into a lion enclosure to hide. Yes, a lion enclosure. You know, with actual lions inside. At first, it seems to work. The cops don't follow him in, because obviously. But he quickly realizes something unfortunate. It's way easier to climb into a lion's cage than out of it. The lions, seeing a surprise snack enter their home uninvited, react the way lions do. And the man's hiding spot becomes his final stop. So if you ever find yourself running from trouble, maybe just stick to bushes. Or wild idea, don't commit crimes in the first place. Number 15. Santiago Alvarado had a plan. It wasn't a good plan, but it was definitely a plan. He decided to break into a bike shop by dropping down from the ceiling. Like a dollar store version of Mission Impossible. Except instead of high-tech gadgets, he brought himself and gravity. While crawling in the crawl space above the store, Santiago lost his footing and came crashing down through the ceiling, landing hard on the shop floor. The fall was fatal. No loot, no escape, no chance to blame the architect. It's almost poetic. Break into a bike shop and get taken out by vertical momentum. That's just the universe telling you, not today. Number 16. Now, here's a story that screams, hold my drink. In sunny Australia, one bright soul decided that traditional hedge trimming tools were simply too boring. Why use a hedge trimmer when you can wield a mower blade, turned sideways, spinning wildly with the help of an angle grinder? Yes, because angle grinders are known for their subtlety and grace. He fires it up, goes full Edward Scissorhands on his front lawn. And within seconds, the machine reminds him that power tools are not for freestyling. The blade kicks back, slices through gloves, fingers, and very nearly turns this landscaping session into an emergency room special. He survives, barely, minus some fingertips and a large chunk of dignity. And his hedges, still uneven. Number 17. Next up, we travel to the wonderful land of Reddit, where overconfidence and anonymous pain go hand in hand. A user once posted his brilliant experiment firing a BB gun directly at his, vulnerable zone to see if it hurt. Spoiler alert, it did. A lot. So much that the follow-up photo had the whole subreddit gagging and questioning humanity's place in the food chain. Now, some might call it masochism. Others might say it's a bro-science experiment gone wrong. But let's be honest. There's a thin line between bravery and voluntary target practice, and this guy shot right through it. The result? No hospital visit needed, but absolutely Darwin honorable mention material. Number 18. Some people go hunting for Easter eggs. Others, apparently, break into stores looking for who knows what. On a quiet Easter Sunday, a man attempted to rob a closed shop. He managed to slip inside, sneak toward the back, and bam! Disappeared through a hidden wall of water bottles. Yes, a stacked display of bottled water collapsed under him like a liquid avalanche. He tumbled down into the warehouse basement, pinned under the fallen bottles, and drowned in bottled water. There's ironic, and then there's died, surrounded by clean drinking water you didn't even want. Police found him hours later, the cleanest crime scene you'll ever see. Number 19. Now, public stunts are one thing, but this next tale takes it from bizarre to biology fail. At a party in Ohio, a man decided to impress his friends by gulping down a live pet fish from a tank. Because nothing says alpha energy like swallowing a creature you just met 5 seconds ago. He scooped the fish, tilted back like a frat party legend, and gagged. The fish, still very much alive, got lodged in his throat. Emergency responders couldn't save him. He choked to death. On a fish. Not fried, not grilled. Just slippery, confused, and on the wrong end of a dare. And you just know that fish was like, seriously, dude? Number 20. Our tale today takes us to Australia. Land of spiders the size of dinner plates, and apparently mechanics with no fear of gravity. A man was trying to steal truck parts during a rainstorm. Specifically, he was targeting the transmission, the part of the truck that weighs about as much as a full-grown kangaroo. He loosened the support winch, planning to yank it loose and run. But physics had other plans. The transmission, no longer supported, dropped like a brick and landed squarely on him, crushing injuries. No getaway, just a soggy, muddy crime scene with a heavy conclusion. If there's ever a time to rethink your life choices, it's the moment you're lying under a vehicle in the rain, wrench in hand, watching 2 tons of metal head for your chest. Number 21. Our main character, a man who just wanted to change a light bulb. Sounds harmless, right? But instead of a ladder or any OSHA-approved method, he goes full MacGyver. He grabs a wooden pallet, slaps it on top of a forklift, and rides it up like he's auditioning for the Fast and Foolish franchise. Problem, the pallet wasn't secured. Second problem, neither was he. Halfway up, it shifts. Physics intervenes. Down he goes in a moment of pure, unfiltered regret. The bulb, still intact. Let this be a lesson. If your light bulb moment involves a forklift, maybe leave it dark. Number 22. Next up, a tale that answers the question, how not to feed a crocodile. At a wildlife sanctuary in South Africa, a visitor decided to get personal. He leaned over a crocodile enclosure with sausages. Yeah, sausages to hand feed a wild croc. Because nothing screams smart idea like dangling meat over a prehistoric killing machine. But he leaned too far, lost balance. And in he went. It wasn't even feeding time. Spoiler, the crocodile didn't return him. This story is less about natural selection and more about what happens when curiosity replaces caution and common sense decides to skip the trip. Number 23. Now, not everyone on this list made a permanent exit, but this one came close enough to earn an honorable mention. Somewhere in snowy suburbia, a homeowner notices an ice dam building on the roof. You know, those lovely slabs of frozen doom that clog gutters and invite chaos. He grabs the obvious tool of choice, a metal chisel. Because when in doubt, aim sharp, pointy objects at the roof from a ladder during winter. He starts hacking away, but slips, nearly tumbles off the roof, barely catches himself. No injury, no hospital trip, but definitely a brush with Darwin-worthy disaster. The real kicker, he could have just bought a roof rake or called a pro. Lesson here. If you need mountain goat level balance to perform a task, maybe check if there's a safer method first. Number 24. Next up, a Darwin honorable mention, because while it didn't end fatally, it still peaked. What were you thinking? Behavior. John Darwin, no relation to Charles, was a former prison officer in the UK who got deep into debt. And instead of paying it off like the rest of us with side hustles and broken dreams, he faked his own canoe accident. Classic. He paddled off into the ocean, left his canoe behind like a breadcrumb, and vanished. The world thought he was gone forever. His wife? In on it. They even claimed the insurance money, bought a house in Panama, and lived it up while authorities searched high and low. But here's where it gets spicy. John eventually got bored of hiding. He just walked into a police station 5 years later saying he had amnesia. The police were like, cool story, but we found your pictures from Panama. Oops, they both got arrested, obviously. But hey, when your scam is so lazy that even a tabloid solves it before the cops, you might just earn that Darwin nod. Number 25. Some people break into ATMs with crowbars, some with drills. But in Belgium, 2 aspiring criminal masterminds decided to go full cartoon and use dynamite. Real, live dynamite. They placed the charge, lit the fuse, and ran, just not fast enough. The explosion obliterated the ATM. And them! The only thing it didn't do: dispense any cash. It's like a scene out of Looney Tunes, except no one walked away, covered in soot with their hair frizzed. Because real life doesn't come with second takes. Moral of the story: if you need a blast radius diagram to commit a crime, you're in the wrong line of work. Number 26. This one really stings. No pun intended. A farmer in Brazil noticed a swarm of bees. Instead of running, spraying, or ducking, he chose a unique solution. He put a plastic bag over his head. His logic? Bees can't sting what they can't see. Unfortunately, oxygen also doesn't work that way. By the time his wife found him hours later, the bees had long since buzzed off, and the only real danger had been the Ziploc-style helmet he crafted himself. So yes, technically, he won the battle against the bees. But the war was lost to basic breathing. Number 27. This one's a modern fable of what happens when gravity, poor choices, and plumbing unite. A man in Austria, reportedly under the influence of a lot more than just good vibes, managed to wedge himself headfirst into his own kitchen sink. Why? Unknown. How? Also unknown, but here's where it goes full Darwin. While stuck, the faucet got turned on, maybe by his foot, elbow, or sheer dumb luck, and started to fill the sink, slowly, tragically, inch by inch. He drowned. In his own kitchen, in a sink. Who needs dramatic cliffhangers when a faucet can do the job? Remember, always respect your household appliances. They're deadlier than you think. Number 28. In a Croatian detention facility, a man was placed in a padded cell. You know, the kind specifically designed to prevent harm. And yet, this guy somehow smuggled in a lighter. Don't ask how. Being both inventive and reckless, he decided to light a fire inside a room made of flame-resistant foam. The smoke built up. The cell sealed. And that was it. He didn't get burned. He suffocated, surrounded by fireproof padding. It's the most literal case of you played yourself I've ever heard. And there you have it. Another fine collection of how not to live your life. If you're still with us and haven't face-palmed into another dimension, congratulations. You've likely got more survival instincts than today's nominees. But now, it's your turn. Got a real story that could give these Darwin legends a run for their money? Maybe it's something you saw. Maybe it's something your cousin definitely swears didn't happen to him. Drop it in the comments below. If we get enough of them, I'll turn your wildest submissions into a whole new episode. Yes, your crazy uncle's homemade flamethrower accident finally has a chance to be famous. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell so you don't miss the next glorious batch of questionable decision-making. Until next time, stay smart, stay safe, and whatever you do, don't test gravity with a ladder made of broomsticks.